very welcome to What Matters programme with myself, John Prendergast. And as you know, over the last number of years, we've covered different topics, both political, community, controversial, sad cases, happy cases. Today, I'm in the heart of this great Limerick city, and I'm with two lovely people, Frank and Marion Reardon from Limerick. Frank, Marion, great to talk to you, even though it's a hard subject we are going to talk about. Let me go to Frank first. How did this all start?
Well, first of all, John, I just want to say thank you for putting our story out there. I really appreciate it. This all started on April the 18th, originally is when Lexi was euthanised. But we were going 3 weeks to the veterinarian practice in question with Lexi. She was poorly for 3 weeks up to April the 18th.
Yes, yeah.
And on April the 18th, when we took Lexi home from the veterinarian, when she was in the veterinarian practice all day, we took her home. That evening, she was poorly, so we took her back into the emergency vet on call.
Okay.
When we took her in, Lexi wasn't doing very good.
Yeah.
She was poorly, and at that stage, we accepted euthanasia was probably the best part to call for her at that stage.
Yeah.
We had put a German Shepherd down, our own pet, recently, a couple of years before that. So we were thinking we were going down the same route, a nice peaceful euthanasia, obviously with euthanasia specifying being peaceful death.
Yes.
Saying taking the animal out of their suffering.
Yes.
But what happened to us that night and what happened to Lexi was actually the total opposite to euthanasia. It was putting her into suffering, and she had an horrific death, which we'll explain here now, John, what happened exactly. On the night in question, we were under the illusion the veterinarian was going to put Lexi down through intravenous IV, cattle her into the vein and put her to sleep. But what subsided that night was the veterinarian said she couldn't do intravenous, she couldn't get a vein, and they decided to go intracardiac, which is heart stick, which is absolutely horrific and barbaric. We knew myself, my wife, my 4 children were there to witness this whole procedure. We never knew anything about heart stick or intracardiac until this evening. And obviously, if we had known this, we would have walked. We would have walked out of that clinic that evening. But what happened that night was absolutely barbaric, inhumane, and Lexi suffered an horrific death. Horrific. It was animal cruelty at the highest level. And John, there's certain procedures, protocols and guidelines around intracardiac ICI, which were not followed that night. And there's certain procedures around it because it's so barbaric, it's so cruelty. This is why they must follow these procedures. None of these procedures were followed, and this is why Lexi suffered this cruel death.
In front of
myself, my wife, and 4 children were there.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Explain to listeners, including myself, even though God knows I shudder to think what it's like, but what is the procedure that you witnessed?
Well, basically, John, first of all, can I say the protocols and guidelines around heart stick?
Yes, of course.
The animal, the patient, this is under AVA-MA guidelines, they are all the statutory bodies, including the English, the American, and the Veterinary Council. It's in all the veterinary journals. If you're ever to perform intracardiac euthanasia, heart stick, the patient, which would be the animal, has to be at a surgical level of anaesthesia. A surgical level of anaesthesia.
I understand.
That is totally unconscious. And before they perform this, after putting the animal unconscious, they must check that the animal is unconscious. They must do the toe check, the eye blink check, just to start the intracardiac. None of this was performed. Lexi received no anaesthesia. She was totally conscious. She She was not unconscious at all. And when the veterinarian done this procedure, which the procedure is a giant needle, John, straight into the heart of the animal.
Christ.
Straight into the heart of the animal. They have the needle has to go through multiple layers to get to the heart. Also, to avoid the lungs and other organs.
Yes.
This is why it's so gold standard. They have to be unconscious because of what could happen if they're not. And we see in the first hand what could happen. Lexi suffered an horrific death.
Terrific.
Horrific. I can't say it enough for the
torturous.
people. It was torture what happened to Lexi that night. She wailed and yelled and screamed and tried her best to get off that table multiple times as the veterinarian struck her with that heart stick. Not once, more than twice, I can say to you, John, more than twice. We've seen the CCTV footage. It was barbaric.
Right.
It was animal cruelty at the highest level.
Well, can I just ask you, did the particular vet in question consult with a senior vet, which they're supposed to do by protocol?
Absolutely.
No, that was another thing that upset us as well on the night. We look back on what happened. When we were told that the vet couldn't get the vein, that was the first thing, when we look back on it, I suppose when you were in the situation, we were all upset. We had 4 teenage kids. We were all crying and it was very emotional.
Yes.
It wasn't a planned euthanasia either. When we go back and look at it, we think, absolutely, the vet should have rang for a senior vet.
Yes.
The vet would have been...
But that's protocol, you have to do that.
I don't think would have been that experienced as well to do such a procedure. So you think if you were having, problems getting a vein, what would be the first thing you might do? You might ring up and ask a senior vet. This is a complex case I have here.
Yes.
And the thing is, we were supposed to be going back in that morning at 9 o'clock with Lexi. So, the vet could have very easily said, look, I can't get a vein, these are our options, and if you come back in the morning, there was no other staff on, there was no nurse on that night either.
Because I remember, if I can use a personal case, and God Almighty, it was so traumatic, when our own little dog Rascal died, aged 19 or 20, but he was physically gone.
Yeah.
And 3 vets in West Limerick looked at him and said, look, we have got to put Rascal now to sleep.
Yeah.
Because there is no other returning option. Her life is finished. That's it. But 3 of them said it. 3 consultations.
Yes,
Now, thankfully, it was through the vein. They got a vein, and she fell asleep. It was awful as it was to watch. But it was done with such dignity
With
and
humanity.
humanity.
That's all you ask for.
Yes.
That's all we ask for.
Yeah.
A peaceful death at the end of their life. And Alexi was only 8, she was a young dog.
Just raise the photo. She's beautiful. She was
only 8 years old,
Yeah.
But, we understand veterinarians have a tough job, and this isn't about going after veterinarians.
No.
This is about the procedure itself.
Yeah.
Heart stick euthanasia and following the protocols.
Yes.
And the protocols and guidelines are there for a reason. They're there for a reason because they know themselves it's such a cruel death if they don't follow these protocols. And we witnessed it firsthand. This is why we are here. This is why we've been protesting, John. We've been protesting now for the last 9 weeks, every day, outside this veterinarian clinic, trying to spread this word of heart stick. A lot of people don't understand. They don't realise what heart stick euthanasia is.
No, because I discussed it from the information you gave me.
Yeah.
People said, some people compared it to the human electric shock treatment that was banned. They thought they never thought of this.
It's horrific, and it was going on in the Clare Pounds as well.
Yes.
There was thousands of greyhounds that were being euthanised by this method, and a lovely lady called Deirdre Ryan, I suppose you call it whistleblower.
She was the whistleblower back then,
She really spoke up about it, and was
Yes.
brought to Simon Coveney in the Dáil as well, and he did say that it was stopped. But here we are, 2023,
Yes.
April the 18th, and it happened to Lexi, so it's not good enough.
It's not only happening now in the pounds, John. It's happening in veterinary practices, and a lot behind closed doors. This isn't good enough.
And it's a horrific death. It's absolutely, to witness it now, it's torturous. To see an animal just
Your
struggling.
friend.
Yes.
Your friend.
Yeah,
Part of your
she's part
family.
of your family.
And in
you know.
horrific pain, and and the fear that was on her face, and the distress that was on Lexi's face. And we were there, and we felt like, what's happening here? This isn't right. We never, we didn't see this with our other dogs, so why is this happening? And when it happened on the night, when the vet went in the first time, and Lexi rose up off the table and she was yelping in excruciating pain, and you could see the distress on her face, and it was horrific. Lexi didn't pass. Lexi was just left kind of fighting and squirming and moving around in pain. It was just horrific to watch. The vet went in the second time, and the very same thing happened, and I jumped back and screamed, "This is inhumane." So it was just torturous.
It's awful, the whole thing. And then you see, I'm sure it's the same about pet cats and beautiful dogs as well. They're very aware
Yes.
of your
Very
distress.
Yes, absolutely.
And she was feeling that.
Yes,
Absolutely.
she would have been.
And this is what puts it on air conscious.
Yes,
The we let Lexi down, to suffer like this at our end times,
Like, that's her last memory
Yeah.
of her
And
family.
only
It was
for
horrible.
Marion standing back and saying that to the veterinarian.
Yeah.
They went intravenous in the end after putting Lexi through
Through
this
all that.
suffering.
They found the
torture.
vein.
Yes.
They found the vein.
That was,
in the
that
end.
was only when Lexi passed.
And this is what makes this even worse
Yeah.
for ourselves and the children,
Yeah.
to watch this, to watch Lexi
It was
suffer
horrific.
by a veterinarian through this intracardiac euthanasia and not follow the guidelines,
Yeah.
not do the procedures that should have been done.
God,
But it wasn't like euthanasia, because euthanasia in Greek means good death.
yes.
And when an animal's been euthanized, it's supposed to be humane, it's supposed to put them out of their suffering so that they go peacefully into a good death. But this was, for Lexi to die, she had to suffer so much more pain, distress. And I can only imagine what was going through her mind, it must have been horrific.
That's it, you see. Some people are so unaware that animals have feelings.
Of course they
we're
do.
all in the
Yeah.
part of the planet,
Yeah.
like we're all God's
Yeah.
creation.
Yeah.
That it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Whether it's the cow in the field, the
Yes.
sheep, the dog, the cat,
Yeah.
the wild bird,
Yeah.
we're all,
Yeah.
Oh,
We're all as
absolutely.
equal as one.
of course.
We're not any better than
No,
animals.
we're not.
Yeah.
Look at what we're doing to the planet.
Yeah.
Is a prime example.
Well, this is it, John. Malpractice, human malpractice, doctor malpractice happens all the time.
Yes.
But it happens all the time in veterinary malpractice, where people don't speak up enough about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Myself and Marion, as I said, have been on the line there for 9 weeks, been outside protest, and we've heard some horrific stories.
Yeah.
Horrific stories of animal cruelty happening
Yeah.
in practices all over Limerick. But people aren't coming out speaking enough about
They're
it.
afraid to come out.
Because, and this is part of the problem,
Yeah.
If people don't speak up, it will keep happening.
Yeah,
It
the
will keep
standards will be very
The
low.
standards keep dropping.
You have to bring
You know.
the veterinary standards back up in Ireland, because
Yes.
we know there was a girl from England, and she signed our petition, and she said that she left Ireland because of the conditions.
Oh, did she?
Yes, were so bad here. She couldn't believe the conditions in Ireland. She went back to England to practice. Because,
Well, it's just
Yeah.
like yesterday what I witnessed in Foynes.
Yeah.
Live cattle being transported by a ship all the way out to Turkey.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the conditions and
Yeah.
that? But I'm following that story.
Yeah.
It's not finished yet, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, John, as you say there now, like the departments of Agriculture, Marine and Food and Marine, the VCI, the Veterinary Council of Ireland, these statutory bodies, these need to be held accountable,
Yes.
because this cruelty is happening under their watch,
Yes.
They need to stand up and discipline where this is happening.
Accountability.
Accountability.
But
Yeah.
accountability,
Yeah.
that goes political
Because
as well.
see, if a vet thought that they were going to get disciplined for doing that procedure in
Yes.
that method, they wouldn't do it. Because in America, in most states,
Oh.
it's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
And a vet
illegal,
would
yeah.
end up in jail.
It's
I've
illegal
checked it
in most
out.
states in
Their
America.
practice
Yeah.
would be finished.
Yes,
Their
Absolutely.
whereas in Ireland,
They'd
you can
actually
do
be
it.
arrested.
Yeah.
There would be, yes.
They'd
Yes,
be facing
absolutely.
charges.
But there's another point as well that we're mentioning which really bothers me, and it is this license fee for dogs. I'm not sure if it's for cats but it's for dog license. And I object to that because we're just handing out money, handing out vets fees, handing out food fees.
Yeah.
We're getting absolutely nothing in return. And it's you and I that are caring for these beautiful animals, our friends, our pets. And we're just paying license fees for damn all. We get nothing, no help.
Absolutely.
But can I just say there, that's
Please,
a very
Mary.
good point that you made, because I made a video and I was saying this as well, and again, on the ground, 9 weeks, protesting, we're meeting people.
Yes.
If you have an adverse reaction in any veterinary practice, there's nowhere to go. There is no support for...
No appeal system, anything.
Whereas when you go to the VCI, the Veterinary Council of Ireland, the vets have support, they can get counselling and
Yes, yeah.
all that. There's nothing for people with the adverse reactions, because
Yeah.
many of us had to get counselling. I had to get counselling myself.
Did you, Frank?
Yeah. Some of our kids had to get it.
I can imagine.
Yeah, Frank, because I don't want to discuss go personally into what
of
we
course
suffered,
not.
but
No.
we have suffered a lot. We
I would imagine, yes.
it's the trauma.
It's very hard to explain
Yeah.
what we witnessed that night.
What it does
you know.
to psychologically, there's an awful lot of
When
psychological
you're waking
damage.
up early in the morning at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and all of this is like a
Yes.
bad film going through your head.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
You
a
know?
bit of a horror
Yeah.
movie, John.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But I've watched your website, and well done. And I have seen huge comments of support coming in. So the message is getting out there. People in Ireland, in the departments and the veterinary, need to wake up, shake themselves, and cop on.
Absolutely.
Very quickly,
Yeah.
you know, because they should be thanking us for dog owners and cat owners and all the other wildlife people that have these beautiful animals, for taking care of them voluntarily. Look at what Dogs Trust is going through, Limerick Animal Welfare, out the door with lost and abandoned animals.
Yeah.
They should be thanking us, the government,
Yeah.
for doing what we're doing. No, they take our money.
Absolutely.
Sorry, that's a very personal, angry point I have.
Yeah.
You know,
But it's the truth.
it is the
No,
truth.
It's the truth.
We get nothing from them.
No.
Yeah.
Nothing. Only lip service in the Dáil where they're overpaid.
Yeah.
Personal opinion.
Yeah.
But Frank and Marion, if people, and I know they will want to get onto your website, just direct them now through. How do they get in touch with you to support you?
We have a petition on Care2 petition site. It's aimed intercardiac euthanasia on conscious animals. We have a Facebook page
Yes.
that we do believe is kind of censored at the moment.
Is it?
Yeah,
It is,
yeah. Because a lot of people that we meet that try and get onto the page, they're not able to find it for some reason.
Yeah.
So
That's strange.
So we
Very
have to open up a
strange,
second account just under the name Justice Lexi, where they can
That's your best
They
way.
can
yeah, that link into the petition and
intercardiac.
link into the Facebook page.
Yes.
Marion also done a YouTube,
YouTube
just
channel.
on their story alone, what happened to Lexi.
Well,
So it's called Marion O'Riordan YouTube.
Yes.
If people want to get on it, they can hear
yeah,
more of the story.
Marion O'Riordan, YouTube.
YouTube, and
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd say to anybody, John, look up heartstick euthanasia.
Yeah, definitely.
Look it up.
Google it.
Yeah.
And
Let's Google it.
they'll see what we're talking about.
Yes,
We're not
yeah.
just here raving on.
No, you're
Yeah.
not.
You know,
No,
Yeah.
no.
This is absolutely animal cruelty at the highest level. You know,
Yeah.
they should be at a surgical level of
Have to
anesthesia.
be at a surgical
they have
level.
to be, and
Yeah.
this is why they have to be. They have to be at a totally unconscious. Now, to be totally unconscious for a reason. Because the procedure itself is horrific.
It's so painful.
So
yeah.
painful to the animal. And this is why Lexi suffered so much pain, because she was fully conscious.
Yeah.
Fully conscious, no pain relief, nothing. She suffered horrifically.
And can I just say as well that sedation alone is not enough.
Sedation
it has
alone
to
would
be,
not be
yeah,
enough.
it wouldn't be
They
enough.
have to be at a
We're
surgical
still too
level.
cruel.
Right.
It has to be a surgical level of
So
anesthesia. That's very important.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
animal must be totally unaware.
Yes.
Must
yeah.
be deep.
Because the pain is so severe. They'll feel it otherwise.
Dear
So
God
for it to be
Almighty.
humane. And I also think that it is more, I suppose, what we call a backward method of euthanasia. And it should, I think it should be banned. I think there's enough medicine there now that they could have other options.
It's an outdated method
It's
now.
very outdated,
But
very cruel.
But yet they found.
They found the vein
Yeah.
and intravenous.
Yeah.
They went intravenous in the
Yeah.
end after putting
Yes.
Lexi through this
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah. It was like,
Torture
it was
death.
like, to be honest, it was a butchered euthanasia.
It was a torture
It was
death she suffered in front of
absolutely
myself,
horrific.
the wife and the
And
children.
there was no need
No.
for it, you know what I mean?
Yes.
This day and
There was
age,
no need.
you know.
Yeah.
And another thing I want to say as well is we never even got a formal apology off the vet in question.
Yeah, admission of liabilities.
Do you know what I
against
mean?
the
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
Absolutely, you know.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't
You
know.
know, this isn't a witch hunt from
No.
Marion,
Let's make it.
whatsoever.
No, it's not
No.
against
Yeah.
any one individual or any
If we can
practice.
stop any other animal suffering the way
Family,
Lexi
yeah.
suffered,
Yeah.
well then it's job
Yeah.
done for us, you
Of
know.
course.
But I do
Because-
believe there has to be accountability, because in order for vets to stop doing this, whether they're working in a pound or a veterinary clinic, they have to know if they do this procedure on a conscious animal, there will be consequences.
Yes, yes.
And if there is consequences and they're disciplined, they won't do it. Because in America, as we were saying, it's illegal in most states in America. And there was
Yes.
also a vet in Scotland
Recently got
that done
struck off.
it
They
to a
were
German
struck
Shepherd,
off, yeah.
and they were struck off. So Ireland is just, we're lagging
We're
behind.
lagging behind.
Well, we need to
Yeah.
move very quickly to bring ourselves
Yeah,
up to date
absolutely, yeah.
for animal welfare.
Yes, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, and I
Yeah.
think that the government, with all its billions in the exchequer,
Yeah.
should be doing more to help people like Frank, Marion, myself, and all the great people out there that are animal lovers, animal welfare people, paying their license, paying their fees, and we get sweet damn all, nothing back, just pay, pay,
Yeah.
pay.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a big, big gripe with
Yeah.
me.
It is,
yeah.
Let me tell you, I'm not reflecting your
Yeah.
point of view, but that's me.
It is,
Yeah.
You know, I resent it when we're getting nothing back at all, but we're just taken for granted. Frank, Mary, I just want to say a very, I won't say happy Christmas, I'm sick of saying that to people. Just that you'll have a good Christmas with the memories of Lexi, with your lovely family. Very hard, very difficult. I know I'm going through it myself, different things, but you're a wonderful couple. Keep up your great work. Don't get into trouble. Work smartly, as you are. Publicise it smartly, and Lexi will see you right. She will.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks
She
very
will.
much, John.
She
Thank
will.
you.
I appreciate it.
Just take the photograph up a little higher and push it that we can see the spirit of this beautiful, beautiful dog. Gormila